Of course, it's very sweet, you know. I took my belt back, and it's revenge also for me, and it was sitting something inside of me. I wanted to win, and I won.
Dmitry Bivol delivered a boxing masterclass, exacting revenge on compatriot Artur Beterbiev to claim the undisputed light heavyweight world title during the Riyadh season. Bivol showcased exceptional skill, dominating with precision and power. Though he didn't secure a knockout, his flawless technique ensured victory. Promoter Eddie Hearn, present to witness the intense rivalry between two of the sport's best, praised the electrifying bout, acknowledging Bivol's brilliance in a career-defining performance.
We witnessed one of the greatest performances I've ever seen live. Watching that fight, 2 rounds gone, nice start from Dmitry Bivol, and then Artur Beterbiev come on with 3 rounds of treacherous pressure.
Eddie Hearn acknowledged Artur Beterbiev's exceptional skills and admitted his concerns about how Dmitry Bivol would overcome such a formidable opponent. Having previously called their first fight a robbery, Hearn conceded that this time, Bivol rightfully earned the justice he deserved with a decisive and well-earned victory over Beterbiev.
And I was watching Artur Beterbiev thinking, this guy's incredible, he's like a machine, how do you stop him? And it took one of the greatest performances of our lifetime to overcome him and to beat him. And Dmitry Bivol did that tonight. Tonight, in my opinion, Dmitry Bivol got justice from the first fight and become the undisputed light heavyweight world champion with a performance for the ages. And now, this man sits here with all the belts, the king of the 175-pound.
The fight has sparked mixed opinions on whether the decision was fair or influenced by boxing politics. Some argue that the winner was unfairly favored, fueling debate over whether Bivol truly deserved victory. Amidst the controversy, discussions about a potential trilogy are gaining momentum. Spencer Fearon shared his thoughts, analyzing what went wrong in the rematch and highlighting key moments that shaped the outcome. As speculation grows, fans and experts continue to debate the fairness of the result and the future of this intense rivalry.
It's kind of weird because most of the people were coming to me, like I'm a good man here, and he was saying to me, like, how he scored it. But I tell you the thing is this, yeah? Okay, then Bivol got it. There's a lost art in boxing, that's footwork, and Bivol demonstrated that. But the major thing was this, when on the highlights, yeah? And I'm so happy that Richie Woodall, full world champion, right? Turned around and said the same thing. How comes they were, like, Beterbiev would win like 2.5 minutes of a round, and Bivol would throw a flurry, but it's the flurries that they were showing on the highlights, right? I'm the same, you know what I mean? And I didn't like that. But I'm not saying the right man won, but it's kind of poetic justice.
Spencer Fearon praised both fighters for their skill and effort while expressing concerns over Beterbiev's loss. He noted that Beterbiev displayed elements in the rematch that were absent in their first fight. Fearon also speculated on the fight's potential consequences and commended Bivol for delivering an outstanding and dominant performance.
Let's have it. I do feel it for Beterbiev because the things that he didn't do in the last fight, he did in the first. He started really fast, right? And he was pressing. But you know what? Fair play to Bivol because his lateral movement was excellent. And the thing about it is this, just like when people were saying, he must have watched the April 87 fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, how Leonard dealt with Hagler, and he did exactly the same thing again in this fight here. But he threw more flurries in this fight. So you know what? It is what.
Before the rematch, many speculated that Bivol, having felt Beterbiev's power in their first fight, would use that experience to his advantage. After the fight, Bivol reflected on this, explaining how it helped him stay focused and execute his game plan effectively, allowing him to remain disciplined and stick to this strategy throughout.
You know, I was just trying to follow my plan, my plan for the fight. We knew that he could start from the beginning, from the first round he could start pressuring. But my task was just keep moving, be focused, and counterpunch.
Dmitry Bivol's dazzling footwork, flashy flurries, and crisp punching proved decisive in Riyadh, earning him a well-deserved majority decision victory over Artur Beterbiev. Following the win, the 34-year-old expressed his joy, emphasizing that avenging his previous loss and claiming the title had been his ultimate goal. one he had now successfully achieved.
Of course, it's very sweet, you know. I took my belt back, and it's revenge also for me, and it was sitting something inside of me. I wanted to win, and I won.
In just 137 days, the two best light heavyweights of their generation faced off once again. While their first fight was a captivating classic, the rematch proved even more thrilling. British Boxing Hall of Famer Duke McKenzie shared his thoughts, expressing that the fight met his high expectations. He praised both fighters for their strategic approaches and regarded the clash as one of the finest in boxing history. McKenzie emphasized how the bout showcased the fighters at their absolute best, highlighting their remarkable skill and tactical brilliance.
And, you know, I wasn't disappointed with yesterday. I thought yesterday's main event for me exceeded, it exceeded their first fight, Bivol and Birbitev. I thought that, normally when you get two guys fighting in a really good fight and then you get the return, it doesn't really happen for whatever reason. But this return fight surpassed the first fight. This return fight, what I love about boxing, when you get two guys of this caliber, when they come head to head and they leave every ounce of energy in that ring, and they show every skill, every form of skill possible, and you saw everything in that fight. The jabs, the crosses, the hooks, the uppercuts. Nobody wanted to take a backward step. They were both strategic in their whole approach throughout the fight.
McKenzie recognized Beterbieve's toughness, but praised Bivol for his sharp, focused performance. He admired how Bivol expertly countered Beterbieve's heavy punches with constant movement and a precise jab, showcasing his impressive skill and ring IQ. McKenzie highlighted Bivol's strategic brilliance in neutralizing his opponent's power throughout the fight.
We know what Birbitev brings to fights. He's a predator, and he stalks you, and he hits you, and he hurts you. But in Bivol, he's like when you watch him, Bivol, it's like watching a boxer on ice skates. He moves this way, he moves that way, he jabs, he hooks, he uppercuts. He's got a whole repertoire of punches in his arsenal. And like I say, that fight never failed to deliver it. It was superb. I'm going to watch it again today. I was that taken back with it. It was great to watch.
Beterbiev, 40, landed powerful punches in the early to middle rounds, but began to tire as the fight progressed, allowing Dmitry Bivol to avenge his points loss from October. Bivol established his rhythm with his jab and quick footwork, two of his world-class skills, making a sharp start with eye-catching combinations and a counter right hand in the second round. The Canada-based Beterbiev planted his feet and delivered explosive right hands, staggering Bivol in the fifth with a brutal barrage that ended with a right to the temple. However, Bivol didn't dwell on his first career loss, which many believe he won. Instead, he promised to improve and did just that, regaining his composure and landing crisper, cleaner-ordered punches while elegantly evading Beterbiev's attacks in the 8th and 9th rounds. Though Beterbiev, who had knocked out every opponent except Bivol, remained a threat, it was Bivol who confidently took control of the center of the ring during the championship rounds. The judges scored the fight 114-114, 116-112, and 115-113 in Bivol's favor, crowning him the WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF light heavyweight champion. Reflecting on his victory, Bivol said, "I wanted to work from the first round to the end of the 12th. I was better, I pushed myself more, I was more confident, and I was lighter. I wanted to win so much today." Meanwhile, despite fans' excitement for the rematch, Beterbiev admitted he was not initially interested in a second fight. However, he expressed willingness for a trilogy, saying, "I didn't want the second fight. It wasn't my choice. But no problem. We can do a third fight if needed." Before the fight, analysts suggested Beterbiev would have performed better in their first bout if he had attacked Bivol's body earlier. Ade Oladipo later reacted to the rematch, noting Beterbiev's aggressive approach in the early round.
Then Beterbiev started to really turn it up. I mean, he went to the body, he went to the head, he came out so aggressive. Like, he came out as though it was round 10 and he's been told, okay, you're down. That's how he came out. And he came out so aggressive. And I've always said this about Beterbiev. It's not that he's a weight bully, but he is so big for the weight. Like, he is so strong. His back is wide. His legs are really thick, and he's very scary, isn't he? And we know the punch power. So he started to really land shots. And there's a couple of people behind me. Although it was very loud in the arena, we're going to get to the arena as well, because I think all the fights should happen at that arena. There's a couple of guys behind me, and they were saying, oh, he's got to Bivol. He's got to.
Ade Oladipo, present at the venue, was overwhelmed with emotion as he watched the fight unfold. He observed that in the first 5 to 7 rounds, Bivol was heavily outmuscled, leaving him with little chance of victory. However, Oladipo highlighted that from rounds 8 to 10, Bivol delivered a masterclass performance, turning the tide with skill and composure to regain control of the fight.
What they were saying, and I was kind of following along to that narrative, like, man, Bivol, there's nothing he can do. Like, Bivol's having to work, and I mean, I don't know how fit these guys are, man. It's incredible, but he's having to work off the back foot. I mean, he's doing everything. Like, he is literally going into that tool bag and throwing everything he can at Beterbiev, and nothing is working. And I felt like that was the way it played out from rounds 5 to, I'm going to say 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to say that 5, 6, and 7. I thought, oh my God, like, Bivol was just he wasn't getting beaten up, but he was getting bullied. That's the exact word. He was getting bullied. And I was thinking, shit. Like, and then he had a round 8, and I then lost my mind. I honestly, it was unprofessional, and I apologized, and it was a bit embarrassing. I started shouting. I was like, come on, Bivol, come on. I looked at his corner, I was like, come on. I'm like, Ade, what are you doing? But I couldn't control myself. I said this on the video I made yesterday. Rounds 8, 9, and 10, maybe even 11, but definitely 8, 9, and 10 was some of the best boxing I think I've ever seen live, ever, from anybody. And I've been lucky enough to have seen a lot of good live boxing. I saw Crawford bash up Spence, and that was fascinating. But rounds 8, 9, and 10 of Bivol, considering how rounds 5, 6, and 7 looked, rounds 8, 9, and 10, and considering who he was up against, I thought was just, it was a masterclass. Honestly, it was a masterclass.
Stephen Breadman Edwards shared his thoughts on the thrilling showdown between two generational legends, each displaying their best. He acknowledged the fight's closeness, admitting that at one point, he even expected it to end in a draw. While he had no issue with the scorecards, Edwards speculated on how the fight might be perceived. However, he emphasized that the intense back-and-forth action between the two fighters made the bout truly special and a memorable spectacle for boxing fans.
I thought it was a great fight. I don't like the way the announcers favor everything Bivol does. I'm being totally honest. With the first part of the fight, I think I saw something up on the screen, but Beterbiev had a good round, and they were showing highlights of Bivol. The same thing happened in the first fight. I picked Beterbiev, but I honestly was saying to myself, if it's close again, they're going to give it to Bivol. Throw Bivol fought his butt off again. And to me, it's no real separation between the two. The fight looked like it was a drawish kind of fight again. You know, down the stretch, I thought Beterbiev won the 10th, Bivol won the 11th, and Beterbiev won the 12th. I thought that the fight was in the balance going down the stretch. I have no problem with 6-6, which is 114, 114. I have no problem with 115, 113 either way. I thought Beterbiev took over the middle rounds. Bivol came back on. It was a back and forth kind of thing. I thought Beterbiev wasn't getting enough credit for the earlier. Like the first round, I thought Beterbiev won. But somebody said that Bivol was up 30-27. I'm like, I think Beterbiev might have won the first round. Much didn't happen, but it still has to be scored. They're really, really hard.
Meanwhile, Coach Breadman didn't hold back in criticizing the management of the fight, arguing that the judges should have been more impartial. He claimed that in each of Bivol's previous matches, there had been a pattern of bias in his favor. While acknowledging how close the fight was, he felt it had the makings of a draw. Bredman pointed out that both fighters had moments of dominance, but neither fully outclassed the other. He emphasized that the bout was so evenly matched that declaring one clear winner didn't seem entirely fair. In his opinion, the decision should have leaned toward a draw, as it would have been the most accurate reflection of the competitive nature of the fight.
It probably was another draw. But I thought Beterbiev was slightly edging it, to be honest. I thought he was edging it a little bit. And then when he cut him in the last round, I'm like, okay, it's either going to be 6-6 or 7-5. I was actually shocked to hear, I think 116, 112. Neither guy won 8 rounds to me. But it's something, I'm not calling anybody out, but something's happened in boxing that I just think that we just need to address. You know, the commentators have to be completely objective. And I feel like that a lot of times they're biased. I feel like they have an agenda. I feel like that, for 2 fights in a row, they favor Beterbiev. They favor Bivol consistently, even with the replays. I also feel like that corral around the ring, nobody should be there except for judges, officials, and the cornermen of the fighter.
On the other hand, Terence Crawford praised Dmitry Bivol for his impressive victory, commending his skill and preparation. He acknowledged that Bivol performed exceptionally well, noting that he appeared to be in even better shape than before. Crawford highlighted Bivol's discipline and focus leading up to the fight, emphasizing that it was key to his outstanding performance.
Oh man, he did good, man. He won the fight.
Overall, the way he fought, what do you think made the difference tonight in your opinion?
He was in better shape.
Yeah?
He left it all in the ring. He wanted them.
Some analysts see the rematch as a close fight, while others believe it was a draw. Eddie Hearn shared his thoughts, acknowledging that while the first fight was competitive, the rematch was not. He emphasized the importance of fair judging, urging officials not to rob the fighters again. Hearn expressed his concern, saying, "Please don't do it to us again. Don't rob us again." He firmly stated that the first fight was much closer in comparison, but this time there was no debate. The rematch was clear-cut and not a close contest.